Welcome to the ISO for Growth, the podcast where we strip away the jargon and help small business owners build better, stronger, and more scalable companies through the power of ISO standards. Let's get started. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Jenny. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I just want to start off by saying a huge thank you to for you giving up your time today to be part of the ISO for Growth podcast.
No problem at all.
Yeah, really welcome you to our podcast. And for our listeners, I think we're on maybe week 9 of the ISO for Growth podcast. It'd be really great for our listeners to really understand your role within the business, because it's such a key role. Often our clients will see the consultants and the auditors. And yes, they do speak to you, and I know you correspond directly with our clients, but they don't often get to see you, which is a bit of a shame. We've kind of got you in a box somewhere, haven't we? Not allowed out. Just this lovely voice at the end of a telephone. But so why don't you just start off, please, by sharing with our listeners what you do and your important and really crucial role within the business here at Synagos.
Well, I suppose as part of the compliance team, our job is to try and make the client's journey through their ISO certification as painless as possible and as seamless as possible. So everything from when we first arrange a project kickoff meeting for them and meet them along with the consultant through all the steps and stages, and just taking them on that journey without them having to have any stresses. And things like their meetings with the cert bodies, we can arrange that for them, so they're not going backwards and forwards. We do all that kind of thing. And
but nice and calm. And I guess your role really, isn't it? It's around, you mentioned the kickoff meeting, for example. So I guess that's the first point. Once our clients have signed on the dotted line and they've shared their soul with us, you then get the opportunity to meet them for the very first time during the kickoff meeting.
Yes, that's right.
And then I guess a lot of your role, you talk about it being seamless, which is absolutely great. But a lot of your role is around providing, I guess, comfort and reassurance to because it can be quite a panicky moment for some of the clients that come with us, because there's this, yes, we know we need this certificate, but there's this uncertainty of, oh my God, I don't know about how we're going to get there. And, being, responsible for compliance along with your colleague, Adam, you do provide that reassurance for them.
Yeah, we'll often have clients ringing up and they're very worried, like you say, and they not know what's going to happen next. And so we can talk them through the process. And we're there to answer questions when, obviously the consultants are often in client meetings, so they're not available to speak directly to the client 24/7, but we're there. And we can just sort of allay those fears or answer any queries or reschedule meetings if they've got a clash, the client's got a clash and they can't do it anymore. And if they've got concerns with the cert body, we can just handle all that for them. Give that reassurance of where they are in the process and what they need to do or don't need to do to kind of continue along the line.
And that's very true. You're directly speaking with the client, but often we can forget that, you do all this great work with the certification body as well. You are that bridge between, on one hand, we've got the client, and on the other hand, we've got the certification body, and there's lovely Jen sat in the middle, so managing the two communication, because it can be quite challenging. Let's not pretend, you've got the certification body just thrusting dates at us, and then you've got the client thrusting anxiety or whatever, and then you are in the middle of all that, being that calm person.
I mean, it can be tricky sometimes, especially if there's a very short deadline that we're presented with. So trying to make sure we can get dates that suit the client, but also mean our consultants can be there to support them. But it is, it's good to be able to have us talking to the cert bodies, because we know the right questions to ask. We know what they're able to provide, what they're not. We know having that good relationship means they will try and be flexible with us and try and fit in with us. And so we're much more likely to get better meetings for the client, better audit dates. Than if they're ringing themselves and they don't really know what they're supposed to ask for.
That's right.
What sort of thing to expect. So it's good that we can take that burden off their shoulders.
That's right.
And just, do that communicating for them.
Yeah. And that's reassuring, isn't it? I mean, the key words, take the burden away from the client, which is what you do perfectly, in my opinion. And in my opinion, yeah. I mean, we have great relationships with the certification bodies that we work with, and yes, we work with a multitude of them. Yeah. And it's by having such a close relationship with them, you do know what they need from the client, and they'll speak to us, yes, in their technical terms, but you can interpret that and go to the client and, withdraw the information without them thinking, oh my God, I don't know what's going on.
They have that level of trust in us that we're going to, ask the right questions from the client and direct questions in the right manner to the client and make sure they get what they need.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. Yeah. So you're a great communicator with the cert bodies. We know that because, I'm often hearing you on the phone with them all the time. Why is it so important to have that strong relationship with them? And, how does it benefit the client?
I think just like we've, talked about already, because they trust in us because they know we know what we're talking about, and they know that we're going to book the right things in for the client.
Well, they know that we're going to be there for them. The client knows that we're going to be there for them, because there are situations whereby the client might be insisting, for example, on a particular audit date, let's just call it that, and it's set in stone, but we can go back to the certification body and kind of negotiate why it's so important. So because we've got that such great relationships with them, they do listen to us, and so we can relay that back to the client, and it becomes like a nice smooth process, rather than the certification going back to the client and the client coming back to us. And rather, we want to be the person in the middle of that. Yes, absolutely.
So client,
absolutely. So that it does become this seamless partnership on I guess on both sides, isn't it? Partnership with the certification body and partnership with the client. And I think sometimes companies can really underestimate the importance of your role in a business. And I know when I set Synagos up, all those years ago, it was something that I knew from pretty much day one that I wanted this role within the business, because I could see the value that you actually bring. So, the client is so used to just seeing the consultant on a inverted commas, day by day, week by week, basis, that actually your role is really holding it all together. You're making sure this is happening on the day it should happen, and to the client, they don't see that, but it's great for them to understand that, from the kick-off meeting, I guess to a point, if you don't mind me probably saying it like this, you're like a swan on a lake, smoothly gliding across the river or the lake, let's call it a lake, and then your little legs underneath it. Yeah. And I guess, sadly nobody sees that. We see it obviously in here, but that's a good thing in a way, do you think? Because that's the business we're trying to portray. Yeah. That actually we've got a handle. Yeah, we don't want
the clients to be doing the juggling or the consultants to be doing the juggling. Yeah. We want the consultants to be consulting and doing what they're brilliant at. And we want the clients to be able to concentrate on what they need to give to the consultant to help them to get their certification.
That's right.
The compliance team can take away all of that logistics of meetings and how they all interface with each other, how they interact, how many meetings they need, when they're going to be. Are they set up at the right time so that if there's things outstanding, that there's time to put them in place, and all that kind of bits and pieces in the meantime.
Yeah. I'm glad you're doing that and not me, because you're far better at it than I am. You're certainly the organised queen. In fact, what do we have a bit of a nickname for you in the office with the post-it notes, don't we? The post-it note queen.
I do like my post-it notes.
You do like you all colourful ones all over your desk. So our consultants are deep in the technical details of implementing. It's quite a it's compliance work, but there's lots of technical side of things, particularly depending on the ISO standard that the consultants are working on. So how does your role allow them to stay focused? And so what is it about your role that helps them to focus on quality?
Because they're not having to organise their own meetings, they're not having to email the client and it can be anything from organising and scheduling meetings to asking for information or checking on things. They're not having to do that, so they can focus on what their role is and they're meaning to do. But in compliance, we also do try and take a load off the consultants when possible. So give fresh eyes on audit reports and manager review meeting minutes. And sometimes you get a bit snowblind, can't you, when you're writing your own report? So sometimes we can pick things up that they've not spotted, and other things like personalising documents for the clients, and developing new framework documents that just keep refining the system a little bit more and a little bit more, and just giving that input to spot things that maybe, as say, a fresh pair of eyes.
That's very true, because we do look at, as consultants, when we go and work with a business, we do view ourselves as going in with fresh eyes. And you're quite right. We sit there and we type in, the audit notes, for example, and then, to a point that makes sense to us, and then we hand them over to lovely you, and you go, what on earth is what does that word mean, or what's that sentence mean? And then then you refine it so that when it goes to our clients, it's a really, it's a professional report, So, I think that's something else that, some of our, some companies just don't have. As a consultant, you're there, you go and you do the audit report, and then you just send it off. And, sometimes there may be errors in there and that, but it's just good to have, like I say, a fresh pair of eyes, just, adding your magical dust to the report.
As well, sometimes I always remember somebody, I was years ago doing a course, and they said, I'm here to put into Yorkshire for you. And, you sort of think, as a compliance administrator or in the compliance team, sometimes there are bits where you think, the consultant's got it all perfect, but will the client understand what they're saying?
Absolutely.
Because they've not got that technical knowledge of compliance. So we can do things like, tweak bits like that. Give ideas.
That's true.
How it could be more obvious for the client.
Yeah, that's true. That, and I guess with any person, so used to knowing what you know is what you know, and we can use jargon in our day-to-day world, and it's just natural for us. But you're looking at it from the client's perspective, and actually, would they understand what this actually means? And making those adjustments, because ultimately we want to make sure that our clients embrace the management system. It's their system. It's got to make sense to them. Yes, it makes sense to us, but we've got to make sure it makes sense to them. And part of your role is to ensure that happens on our behalf. On our behalf. So many business owners fear that ISO is just a mountain of endless paperwork. You do get some management systems that are just so complicated and complex, and a document for this and a document for that, and it just goes on forever. So based on what you see every day, because you are here to support the consultants, obviously as well as the clients, but the consultants, how do you use our system, the systems that we use here at Synagos, to simplify the approach, and so that it doesn't feel overwhelming for our clients?
Well, we have a framework that gets put in place for the client, and one of the tools we use for that is we use Jira, it's a project management software, and every time we have a new client sign up, they'll be given a Jira board, and we clone a set of tasks to that board. So it's a step-by-step process, really, and we can just go through it, as I say, step by step. Make sure the consultants have got the right tasks in place at the right time. And that they're, giving the clients the right information at the right time, and that there's plenty of space around those tasks for the client to have time to find that information or to process it in their own minds, work on the tasks. From what I've understood from the bits I've seen of the actual framework we put in place, it's quite simple and concise but effective. So there isn't reams and reams of documents. It's pulled together in a very straightforward but accurate and helpful way, so that the client's got all their hands on all the information they need for their system, and they can operate it in a very simple and effective way, without it just
overwhelming,
blowing their minds, not know what they're doing with it. And either ourselves or the consultant are always there to explain anything they don't understand or go through things. And if I don't know the answers, because obviously I don't know all the answers to questions I get, I'll refer them on and get the answers back for them. We do try and keep it.
Oh, that's really good, that, because, I did hear in the office today, we're on the verge of, winning a new deal, which is always exciting. And I think one of the questions that was asked, well, what happens next? And the comment was, oh, don't worry, it'll get past the compliance and they'll be in touch. And it's good that you've got this, we have a framework in terms of what we follow to ensure that our clients are compliant with the management system. And from a compliance perspective, you've got the JIRA system that ensures that as consultants, we fulfill what we're supposed to do. And there's step-by-step approach. So when one task is assigned, then when that's completed, I take it'll just trigger the next one. And then,
often tasks are assigned and we give them due dates according to our experience of how the process needs to flow. But as you say, some tasks then trigger another task. But it kind of, at the beginning of setting up a new client, we will tend to try and set up as much of the steps as possible and assign them to the correct people, put sensible dates against them so that that it flows nicely. And all of those are tweakable, So the other day I had a client ring up and they were concerned. They're sort of their internal audit. I don't think we're going to be ready. And I was able to reassure them and say, don't worry, we'll put you a catch up in with a consultant. You can discuss where you are with everything, and we'll just move everything back a bit. So it's all adaptable. But we do try and get it set up from the beginning so that flows in place. It's consultant time allocated appropriately, and it makes sure those dates are secured for the client, and it just flows.
And that's really good to know, isn't it? That the fact that, even though the dates are set in there, they are, we can move them. There's obviously going to be some caveats around that, but ultimately we are there to adjust our approach to meet the needs of our clients, which is very important. So well done. It sounds like a really, really good system, JIRA. So once our clients receive their ISO certification, which is, it's one of the reasons why they come to us in the first place, they need it. So they've got it for the very first time. What happens then? So I've got my lovely shiny certificate, open up the champagne. What's in terms of from our perspective, what happens next then?
So we'll book in with the client to see the consultant, have a post-audit catch-up, check they're happy with everything, talk about whether they want to proceed into a maintenance contract where we look after their ISO moving forward and helping them, going into the future. They'll also be given the opportunity to share any feedback that they've got about what went well, what if there's anything we could improve upon, and then hopefully they'll be happy with what we've provided and want to keep working with us in the future.
And that's interesting, that point about the client gets the opportunity to feedback, but throughout the whole project, they get catch-up meetings along the way, so they do get the opportunity every step of the way to keep feeding back to us, which is the communication that we that you manage is really important, so that the client does know every step of the way what's happening, and they, like I said, they get the opportunity to share whether something's working well or not so well for them. So yes, everything's really geared up for that customer experience, if you want to call it that.
And we do welcome any feedback, because anything we can do to improve, we're happy to take on, and it just make our system better.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
We're always looking for improvements.
Yeah, 100% agree with that, because, we don't want to be a static business where, well, this is the way that we do it. And then, I don't care what you think. We seriously do welcome the feedback, because we do want to keep striving for perfection, and industries change and we learn more and more as the days and years go by, and we want our management system to work with what industry is like right now, and so that's really good. So what do you enjoy about your role? If anything, I should say.
No, I do very much enjoy my role. I enjoy it. It just can stress me out on occasion. Lots of juggling.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy the challenge. And we've got a fantastic team here. So it's a very friendly, very happy team at Senegos. And I think that really benefits the business and the customer, because if we're happy, then we are going to do a better job.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
But, it's a lovely environment to work in.
Oh, yeah, I think so too. So if you could give one advice to a brand new client of ours that was just signed on that dotted line today, what would that advice be and why?
I would say make sure you communicate with us, because as good of a job as we do, we can only do so much without your say-so. So if we send you an email asking you to look at some dates, even if you can't respond, maybe just send one back saying, I've got to look at these, and so, and get back to you.
Yes.
Or particularly if we're trying to book certification dates in, it's really important that we get some feedback and input from you, because there's no point in me booking dates in that are completely unsuitable for a client. So it's that just two-way communication. As I say, we can only do so much without your input. So,
Yes. And bottom line is, we want to make sure that it's a smooth process for you, and that, we're doing what you want us to do.
Yeah.
So you're right. Communication is really important. Yeah. So Jen, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that. That's really interesting, and a great insight to how, the Department of Compliance works. And we just wouldn't be here without you and your lovely colleague Adam, of course, who are the glue to keep and make sure everyone does as they're supposed to do it at the right time. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
No worries at all.
Thank you. That's all from today's episode of ISO for Growth. Remember, ISO isn't designed to cause you stress. It's the foundation that allows you to grow your business. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the follow button. I'll be forever grateful. I'm Jenny Kilburn, and I'll see you next week.